Hey YouTube, so today we are going to do a water pump on a 2016 Buick Encore. Cute little neat little car. These are all-wheel drive, little small motor. Encore by Buick. Alright, so today we're going to do the water pump on this car. Pretty simple job, pretty straightforward. Some people had a question of whether it was turned with the timing belt on this particular vehicle or not, but it's not. The water pump actually sits right there, but you do have to remove the motor mount in order to gain access to it. Now I have removed the breather box, which sits like right here with the air filter. You can see I've got the cover pushed over out the way so we can get down to it. After you do that, pretty much the main thing in doing this job is you want to have something to support the motor, like a floor jack and probably a piece of wood or something to hold that up so that you don't damage the oil pan, but you want to support the motor. And then after you have that motor supported, the first thing you're going to do is remove these bolts here and these bolts here to take this motor mount out, and then that'll give you access to there. You'll also need to take out the motor mount bracket, which is there around there. These are 15mm bolts. I'm going to go ahead and take those out of the way, and then we'll come back and show you what's that. Now, when you lower that down with the floor jack there, you notice the motor starts dropping down, but you can actually use the floor jack to lift the motor back up. All right, so now we've got the motor fully supported by that. Now that we have the motor mount out of the way, okay, you can see you're starting to see the pump a little bit better. All right, so we'll take these screws out, and there's another bolt down there. These are going to be 15mm as well. And then there's one at the very bottom. Now, so that you can access those, what you want to do is lift the motor up with the jack so that you have a better angle of attack on those bolts and so that you can see them. Alright, now that we have the motor raised up out of the car a little bit, you can see that third bolt down there at the bottom. We'll have no problem getting to. We'll have no problem getting to that one, and there's no problem getting to that one there. So I'm going to get ahead and get those. It's going to be hard to film while I do that, so I'll take those off and then we'll come back. Once you pull those bolts loose, you'll be able to remove this bolt all the way, but these you'll have to leave inside the fixture as you pull it out. These are rather long bolts. That was a long bolt. Pull this one out here, leave those two in there, and then tilt it at an angle, and you can pull that up out. Look at that. See, there's the two bolts. Sit that right there. Here's our pump. Okay. Now, only thing hard about this is nothing at this point, really. You've got a connection there for water. Now you will need a Torx head, the E sockets for that. The star socket, I can't think of the exact name of it, but you know what I'm talking about. Let me find it and I'll show you. I think it's like an E. This looks like it's like a E10, maybe 12. Let me find the socket. See. All right, so that's an E12 socket that fits these nuts right here. All right, so you take your E12. First thing I want to do is you want to pull these bolts here from the pulley, and then we're going to relieve the belt tensioner. We'll relieve the belt tension. There's a belt tensioner tool. You pull the belt back, pull the tensioner back. That'll relieve pressure off the belt. But I like to go ahead, while I still have the belt on, I'd like to go ahead and remove these bolts. It makes it easier because it'll hold that in place. Go ahead and get those out of the way, and then we'll proceed. Okay, to relieve the belt tension off the tensioner, you'll need an E14 socket. Put that right there on that bolt and pull. And as you can see, when you pull, that gives you tension on the, or it releases the tension on the belt. All right, so I'll need two hands to pull that belt off. But we'll get that belt off, and then once you pull the belt off, that pulley face will come off, and that's going to give you a better view of the rest of the pump. All right, so now we're down to our water pump, and as you can see, we've got some more E-sockets there, E-bolts there, boom, boom, one at the bottom, actually, yeah, one at the bottom, looks like two at the bottom, and then you have two at the top there. You've got a clamp, hose clamp there, and in the front here, you see you have the thermostat as well as another hose clamp with an easy slide. So you see that little metal ring. There's two ways you can do it. You can either unbolt this while it's in the car, or you can pull this metal ring up, pull the hose out, and then pull the whole assembly. All right, you will need to disconnect. There's an electrical connection right there that you'll need to disconnect when you do it that way. All right. So, and then you just pull the whole pump out, face out. I'm gonna get those removed so you can see what that looks like. For this hose clamp back here, it's best if you have some hose clamp pliers. You notice these are specially made to get up in there and grab that hose clamp. If you do not have a pair of these, I highly recommend you invest in a good pair of hose clamp pliers. I know some people are like, oh yeah, I'll just use some regular pliers, but no, these run circles around regular pliers when it comes to grabbing those hose clamps like that. I mean, it just makes light work of them real quick and easy. And always grip and grab with these hose clamp pliers. I don't know what brand these are. I couldn't even tell you where I got them from at this point. But at this point, I'm glad I have them. So, all right, we'll go ahead and remove those bolts and those hoses, and then we'll pull that pump on off, and then we'll get her cleaned up and get it back together. Oh, also, at this point, before you pull the pump, if you have antifreeze in the vehicle, it's best to go ahead and drain it out. All right. All right, so here we have the new pump. You'll notice if whenever you're doing a job like this, if you need to know where all your screw bolts are. Sometimes when you're looking at a job, they get kind of hidden to you can't see them all. But take the new part and look at it, and you can find the holes. 1, 2, 3, boom, 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 boom. Also, in doing a job like this, these particular cars, you'll notice that the bolts are different sizes. Like for instance, you see that one is that size there. So when I pull these out, what I like to do is I like to pull them out and transfer them over to the new pump so that I know roughly where they go. Or I'll pull the pump off with the bolts in there. I mean, if they're not going to fall out, but either way. If you think they're going to fall out, go ahead and pull them out, transpose them over to your new pump. That way you know where they go. Once you get the new pump out, the old pump out, you can put them back temporarily in the place of the old pump while you're prepping the new pump to put it in, because you know you've got to put your gasket and stuff like that in there. But you need a template guide to see where all the bolts go, and I'll show you what I mean. So this bolt's long here. All right, you see that bolt's long? Well, that long bolt goes right there. I want to clean that up before I put it in the new pump. And then like this bolt here, this bolt's short, but that bolt's short. See how short that bolt is? You don't want to mix these bolts up, because if you mix them up, then you're going to have problems when it comes to putting this stuff back together. So we're going to go ahead and transpose all our bolts over, and then we'll proceed from that point. All right, so as you see, pull this clamp back here. I'm going to zoom in there for you. You pull that clamp back, and then you pull that hose back off of that. All right, disconnect that wiring connector there. All right, that wire connector is a little tricky. This little red piece slides up. There's a lock on it. You slide that little red piece up, and then you push that tab in. Definitely going to need 2 hands. Might even need 3 to do that. All right, so we've got 2 more bolts in there. As you can see, we have transposed our bolts over, and from the ones where we have some missing, then we know that's 2 bolts that we haven't taken out. But as you can see, these are different height bolts all the way around this pump here. So we're going to get those last 2 bolts out of the way. You can see them, there's one there and there's one there, and then we'll be able to pull this pump forward. Also, we're going to take this hose off too. Neat little trick on these, like after you take the clamp loose, if it's kind of stuck, you can take like some a pair of pliers or some type of jaw, angle jaw pliers, and grab the hose lightly and just kind of twist it back and forth until that works loose, and you can slide that back off of there. We'll remove all that stuff and then we'll proceed. Alright, so now we have all of our bolts out. You can see our bolts are out. Now we come over here and take the pump. The easy way to get that pump out, if you have a big pry bar, stick it between the pump face and the pump, and just slightly push. Come on up. Alright, so now that we have that off, you can pull that forward. Okay, there is another hose connection on the back side of that if you pull it off with the housing. Okay, if you want to leave that housing on there and just disconnect the bolts, you can still have better access to it because you can pull it out. As you can see, you can get your hose clamp pliers down in there, and kind of a bad. You see those bolts? You can either take those 3 bolts out, but I prefer that you take that hose off down there. Move that hose clamp right there, and then you pull the hose out. Then you can pull the whole piece out. Right, we'll get that removed, and then I'll show you how to clean this up and get it prepped to put the new pump on. Alright, so take the hose and kind of just work it back and forth, and then you can slide that off. Alright, so now we have that pump down there. You see how much play that gives you to work with that hose there? So we'll get the next hose right there. We'll move that clamp, and then we can get that off. Or, like I say, it's up to you, depending on how you want to do it. You can also take off the 3 bolts. Well, there's 4 bolts around, 3 bolts around the thermostat head. They're kind of hard to get to, so we're going to just remove the hose clamp there and pull the whole apparatus out. Okay, so now that we got the pump loose, I decided to go ahead and not fool with that hose clamp, because that thing is rather in there. But after you get the pump loose, you'll notice that you'll need to clean the old gasket off. There's some old gasket material there because the new pump's going to come with the gasket. And matter of fact, this feels like they just used silicone on there. Yeah, they just used silicone from the factory, I think. Well, it might be a gasket. Nope, just silicone from the factory. So the new pump comes with, wow. Don't even put a gasket on them these days. We'll clean that old gasket material off and we'll put a new one on it. But the new pump actually comes with a water pump gasket, as you can see. So we'll put silicone around that. We'll clean that off, and then we'll put this new pump in. And we've got the new pump here with these screws in. We'll transpose those screws over to the old pump. That way you'll know where they go while you're installing the new pump in. Okay? All right. That pretty much concludes this video. I mean, installation is the reverse of removal. So if you're able to get to this point and take this thing apart, then I'm quite sure you can get it back clean. But again, look at that right there. You'll want to clean all that old silicone off right there before you go and apply the new one. All right. So if you have any questions or comments, please post, chat, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting my channel. And as you go through and watch these videos that people are creating and putting content on YouTube, take the time to share it with your community, other people on your Facebook or whatever social media platform it is. It doesn't cost you anything to help someone who's creating these videos. I know a lot of people that create YouTube videos, and some people have success, some people are, well, you know. But I always tell them, you know, keep going, because it's not an overnight. It's not an overnight success story. It's just a continuation of your craft, of your work, or whatever it is you like to do. And you know, you might reap reward from it, you might not. But either way, you're sharing knowledge with the world, or entertainment, or whatever it is you do. But share it. It doesn't cost you anything to share it, you know, and your sharing could actually help someone. So, if you like this video, please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. You'll notice on my channel I have a lot of different content. I try to do something for everyone. And if you have a particular video or a particular repair you want to see fixed, let me know. I'll try to get that out to you. Until next time, YouTube. Have a great day.